right, welcome to another exciting edition of Beescast Live, and we are here with Ballers manager Aaron Miles. We are here with Ballers assistant GM and the feature of a recent Dispatches from Ramondi article that was fantastic. Tyler Petersen, aka the American Treasure, is here with us right now, and we're here to talk about a trade that was just consummated between the Oakland Ballers and the New York Boulders. So why don't we jump right into it? Let's start with you, Tyler. Tell us a little bit about what the Oakland Ballers did, why we did it, and then we'll get some feedback from Aaron as well on how the trade came together, the player we're getting, and all of those fun things.
Well, trades in indie ball are always interesting because most of the time when you're doing a trade, everyone is going to benefit. And this is certainly one where everyone does benefit. So Norris McClure, who we signed, I think not a month ago, is not going to don green and gold. He's going to don, I think, the red, white, and blue of the New York Boulders. And we are acquiring Aiden Rissy, who is a right-handed pitcher. If folks may be familiar with him, he played for USF Baseball for 1 or 2 years, and he was a right-handed pitcher behind Lance Santier and Joe Soberone in that rotation. In another life, as a USF broadcaster, I actually might be in one of these clips in that little press box at field level, which, by the way, is actually a terrible way to watch baseball.
It's a very low press box. Wow.
Well, I should say it's actually a very interesting way to watch baseball. It's a terrible way to call baseball, but we do our best. Rissy's a right-handed pitcher, led the team in strikeouts in the 2025 season, and had a really nice showing in the Frontier League. He kept a 5.5 through 12 starts and had a nice year as a professional, and so we're going to be very excited about him. And I'll let Aaron talk about Norris a little bit more, but generally speaking, when you can go out and acquire a guy that you think you can slide into the rotation pretty easily, you want to go out and do that.
Yeah, jump right in, Aaron. How did this come together? I know it's a little bit of an interesting story, and then tell us a little bit about who we got and who we gave up.
Well, Norris McClure, he was a third baseman, could play anywhere, actually. He plays a little bit of shortstop as well. And left-handed hitter, a lot of speed, a little bit of power, good bat-to-ball skills. Called us up, actually got a hold of me through a mutual friend and said he was having some trouble getting some traction on some of the Frontier League teams that might have wanted him, and was getting kind of antsy and didn't want to sit around and wait and wanted to know where he was going to play. And so James and I did our homework on him as far as a player, watched some videotape, loved him, and said, let's just offer this guy a contract and sign him up. We sent him out the contract, and he said, you know what? I don't feel like, I'm getting a whole lot of, offers from any other clubs. So he went and signed the contract with us. About 3 days later, the New York Boulders called him up and said, hey, you're available. We'd love to have you. And I said, I already signed the contract. But the kid showed a lot of desire to want to play in the Frontier League, and was actually going to a club that has an ex-coach of his that he played for in college. So I said, hey, look, if we can have something that works for both teams, let's make it happen. And, just so it goes, everybody's connected somehow in this game. And they had a pitcher that has ties to the Bay Area, Aiden Rissy, and boy, we're getting a good one with this. And so I'm excited. And again, goes right into our rotation, and he's going to be good for us.
Yeah, Aaron just said goes right into our rotation. It's interesting to hear a guy coming in, going into the rotation, a guy that pitched for the USF Dons, so he has Bay Area ties. I know he grew up in San Diego. Tyler, how much of that is a factor here? A kid that is a California kid that was associated with a New York team, that obviously makes a good connection for the Ballers, right?
Yeah, and for Aiden, I think he might have had some comfort in New York as well, because he spent most of his college career in a smaller college called Bard, which is in New York, so he might have had familiarity with that area. But whenever we do a trade like this, our philosophy, or the way we go about it, which may not be sort of hard and fast, but we always try to make sure that we have the player's best interests in mind. So we really won't send a guy out to somewhere he doesn't know he's going, or it won't come as a surprise to him. So we get everybody on board already. We knew that Aiden wanted to come here. And so once we knew that that was the case, we said, all right, all our ducks in a row. He's to come back out. He pitched here as an amateur, now he'll pitch here as a professional. Green and gold, he'll stay in green and gold.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I like that. And, you know, a lot of baseball fans sit around during the winter meetings and they want to see their teams do something. And at the Ballers, we just didn't want our Oakland fans to feel left out of all the festivities. So here you go. You got a big trade. We're going to announce a re-signing here in a few minutes from a player that is on the team that was here last year. And we're going to talk also about a new free agent acquisition. And this is going to get slightly confusing, guys. We worked through this a bit in the pre-show. We're going to go from Aiden Rissy to Ryan Resas. And Ryan Resas is a player that just signed with the Oakland Ballers. He went to UCLA. He's from San Ramon, so kind of the opposite track there as Rissy. He grew up in San Ramon, went south. Resas is somebody that is from the East Bay, a good pitcher, a lefty. Aiden Rissy is a righty. So tell me a little bit about Ryan Resas, as I try not to get my Rissies and Resases confused.
Yeah, well, this actually goes back a while. Before scouting him at UCLA, this was a player we identified in 2024 after his final year at UCSD. At the time, Don and I were having conversations with a player out of the San Diego area, and that player ended up signing in the American Association. But having poked around that area a little bit, we became aware of Ryan, and so we were going to do some homework on him, and then it turned out that we learned that he had one more year. And so he spent that year at UCLA, which of course is a big baseball program, its first year in the Big Ten, and he did really well. He was not used a ton out of the bullpen. I think he was used more in sort of lefty-lefty matchups. And then in the draft league this year, he was used in more roles. But he's got really good stuff. He's been scouted by a number of major league teams from scouts I've talked to. They all liked him. And so having followed him for the last year on our big boards, we were happy to see him go to the draft league, because that's a good telltale sign that someone does want to play. And so Aaron and I talked about it, and we were happy to get a chance to talk to him and then agree to terms.
Yeah, Aaron, a lot of these guys that we're signing right now all are players that played in the draft league. So I would imagine that's a point of emphasis for you. And is Resas someone that you will see in the starting rotation alongside an Aiden Rissy?
I expect him to be in the rotation as well. He wants to do it. We know he's completely capable. He has the stuff. We never know how a lot of these things are going to end up working out. There's another guy we're going to talk about here in a little bit that, you can go from experience. Rissas is somebody that looks like he is every bit a guy who can be a capable starter in this league. Will get that chance, going to come into spring training prepared to start. I expect him to be in the rotation and do great for us. And again, a guy who went to the draft league, who many teams were on. So these are two good pitchers right now that we're getting that, newcomers to this league, but boy, we're excited about them.
Yeah, if you're watching right now live, we announced a trade for Aiden Rissy. We've announced a signing of Ryan Resas. And I would have to imagine, Tyler, someone like Gabe Tanner, very excited about the addition of Ryan Resas, having another person here from the San Ramon Danville area on the Ballers.
Yes, I do believe that Gabe knows him to some respect. I mean, the baseball community around here is quite tight. But I'm going to check the comments on his post, because Tanner did respond in that. I would have to see whether the two of them ever cross paths in the East Bay. But for Gabe, who came into a rotation that was very strong, and for him to hold a position and have the year he kind of had, And then to see a lot of his fellow starters go elsewhere, I think he's going to feel good about the rotation that he will now anchor with both the returners and the new ones coming in.
Yeah, that's exciting. Gabe Tanner, again, re-signed with the Ballers, announced really right away his return, was dominant for the Ballers throughout the whole season, and it's fun to know that he was also somebody that participated in the open tryouts, right, Aaron?
Yes, he did.
No.
No,
he
actually, he
How did
didn't
we
have
find
the
him?
open
I
tryout.
thought he was an open tryout guy.
Just
No,
kind of
he
knocking
was
on the
in-
door for spring training.
Yes,
Hello,
he,
I'm here. You guys need another arm to throw
Yeah.
against your hitters?
That's even better than a tryout. Just show up and be like, hi, can I play baseball
Yeah.
now? Thank you.
He kept knocking on the door too. Yeah.
I believe it was the last few days of spring training that they got. He and Max Gonzalez, both who were starters at Cal State East Bay, got in touch with me, and we were in a position where we thought, you know what, we do need a couple extra arms that we don't want to. We want to save them for Ogden, but we need to have these guys hit some live pitching. And the two of them came out, and then you start to get the idea. It's like, I think that slider will play, and then you start looking at these guys, and you kind of think, okay, we're gonna sort of back burner. And I mean, for Tanner, I mean, that was the whole point of coming out, is to be there, be in front of us, and be be known, so that we could pick him when we were ready for him.
Yep.
Boy, that could not have worked out better.
Yeah.
We do have a question. If you're watching live, you can comment. We will answer your question. So fire away. This one from one of my all-time favorite people, Dan Silver. Tyler, how did Recess transition from Big West to Pac-12 or Big Ten baseball?
Well, he had 20 appearances last year, and his ERA was actually the lowest of any of his college seasons. When we talk about making the jump from D2 to D1, from NAIA or D3 to D1, it's really not much of a jump anymore. The best players in lower divisions, and remember, UCSD is a D1 school, so let's not forget that either. But these guys who jump to bigger programs, bigger conferences, they're not doing it because they think that they might have a shot. They're doing it because they're getting recruited by these schools who want them in a specific role, who know they will do well, who've had big years. And so for a guy like Reeses, I'm sure that his recruitment to UCLA was something that was very targeted on the Bruins' part. And
May have had a little bit of this.
The
too.
NIL is there too.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
mean, it's there now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to see, I think we saw, you definitely want to be able to say to a guy, yes, you had a good year in the WCC and you had a good year in the Big Ten. I mean, there is certainly something to say for that, to be like, yeah, you struck out some future first rounders there. But for us, I mean, I think the draft league numbers almost are what we look at more, just because now we know exactly the kind of competition he's going to be facing in the Pioneer League. It's going to be draft league style players. So there were so many boxes that were checked off for us, and it really at that point was a no-brainer, because there were multiple other California teams in on him as well, and we knew that, and we wanted to get there first.
Now, you're about halfway through this episode here. We still have a player re-signing to announce. We do have a Big Ballers departure to announce. We're going to get to those in just a second. First, though, before we move on from new signed players, I actually wanted to just show this video. I saw this on social media yesterday. I thought it was very cool. New Ballers player, Chinar Brown, working out with Jamile Weeks out in Orlando. And I think this is a very exciting player for the Oakland Ballers, and working out with a very exciting guy. I love Jamile Weeks, one of my favorite players that I covered when I was on the A's beat. So it's really cool when you see those kind of worlds come together. As you mentioned earlier, the baseball community is very tight-knit, and it's a lot smaller than a lot of people realize. So, how good and how exciting is this? And Aaron, what do you expect out of Chinar Brown, who looks like an awesome ball player?
Well, first off, definitely going to be very popular with the young kids, with the height being 6'7". Yes. And this guy can run, he can throw, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, obviously coming from the same program that Cam Buford came from, and having similar years statistically to Cam's Grambling years. So I'm not going to say he's going to do everything that Cam did when he was here, but this guy will be potentially, and well, not potentially. I mean, he is flat out going to be one of the best prospects in the Pioneer League. You're still going to have to show up and put the bat on the ball and show that you can continue to stay in a lineup. We expect him to do that. He's done that at Grambling. And at 6'7", with a guy that can run like that, throw like that, hit the ball out, he is an exciting looking player, and we're really excited to have him. Another thing, he comes from the draft league. The one thing about the draft league that we love so much is, and that I love so much about it is I know every manager that is in that league very well. I talk to them frequently. I talk to the pitching coaches. So everybody that is in that league, I know that the managers have seen these guys play against them, for them, and we get really good feedback on the player the whole time he's there. So that's great.
All right, let's not make people wait any longer. Let's talk about who the Ballers have re-signed. It's always fun when you have a championship squad and then you're bringing people back that folks are familiar with. So the Oakland Ballers announcing soon. You're getting it broken here on Bees Cast. We're technically going to announce it tomorrow, but the Ballers have re-signed Dylan Matsuoka and Tyler. A little bit about Dylan here. If you could break down kind of how this came together and a little bit about last season. Dylan had some ups and downs, very, very strong at some points, some downs as well. So what is Dylan working on and what can we expect to see with him?
Well, I think what we're expecting to see is sort of, I guess if you were to make it very simplistic, sort of first half Dylan versus second half Dylan. First half, I mean, we were talking about a guy who would take the ball every 5 days and had really good success, was a Pioneer League pitcher of the week at one point, contributed to a shutout in Colorado Springs, which is the toughest place to play in the Pioneer League as far as going out and have a good pitching performance. Dylan shifted from rotation to relief, had some struggles, and then did have an injury at the end of the year. And thankfully, we were able to keep him around to be part of those celebrations right there, because he was very much a big part of this clubhouse and someone we wanted to make sure saw through the end of the season. He and Brody Aglite were both on the IL by the time the championship came around, and both were able to stay on with us. But I think what you were looking for from Dylan is more of that consistency to come back healthy, and I think Aaron can talk more the kind of role we're looking for that. But a guy who is a known quantity in this league, he'll have his third year, and I'm certainly sure that he's going to want to make a big jump.
Yeah, Aaron, you see the question right there on the screen from Dr. DeViz. What do you envision his role will be? And maybe spring training determines a lot of that, and you don't have it quite set yet.
Yeah, I would not want to define any role. I mean, we already know he was capable starter at the beginning of the year last year. I expect him to come in with an outside shot to be one of our starters. We're not going to hand him a job anytime soon, but if he comes in and pitches well, we know he can handle that. We know he can also pitch out of the bullpen. He's a guy that is a bulldog. He does not want to say no if you're handing him the ball. I mean, and that's, I think, to his fault a little bit last year. I think he was having such a good year in the beginning. He dealt with a little bit of soreness that maybe he should have sat down for a little bit, but he wanted to keep having the ball, and I think that he learned from last year, and we're going to see the best version of him. And if he pitches up to his capability, I could definitely see him getting into the rotation and sticking. Because, again, his first third of the season, or almost first half, he was one of the better pitchers in the league. So we're excited to have him back, and we know that he's doing everything he can to be that guy that was the dominant pitcher. Look, he's every one of these guys that pitches in this league is going to go through some ups and downs being in the Pioneer League. But he's learned from, I think, his journey here, and we expect to see the best version of him.
Yeah, as you can see when I'm listening, my eyes are darting around because I'm monitoring the comments. A lot of comments, a lot of questions, and I think that's cool. I love the engagement. So keep firing away. We're going to answer as many of your questions as we can towards the end. But first, I think we should quickly jump into a departure from the Ballers. We just talked about a re-sign. We've talked about players we have signed. We've talked about a trade acquisition. You have something, Tyler, before I hit the button?
Actually, Casey, it's 2 we have to talk about.
Oh,
2 of them
no.
we have to.
2.
I just
All
remembered.
right. Well, first we'll
Yes,
start with
I
the
remembered
one.
one we haven't talked about.
All right, we'll start with this one, and then we'll hit the second one. Tyler, you're starting to make me sad with all these departures. First and foremost, Luke Short, short dog. That's Oakland baby. Going to the Cleburne Railroaders. Luke Short, one of my absolute favorite people on the Oakland Ballers last season. A person that was on the team not just last year, the year prior. Kid from Cal, just a great guy overall. Aaron, I'll have you start on this one. Tell me a little bit about Shorty, his decision, and just what you loved about having him on the Oakland Ballers.
I've been one of our aces from day one when he showed up 2 years ago. Kid that came to Cal and a San Jose kid, and just been a rock for us. And boy, look, um, these guys that are Bay Area guys, I always say, look, I mean, I want you to go on and play at the higher league if that's what you want. But, if you want to keep playing in your backyard, man, please do. He's somebody that could have pitched in a higher league last year. Wasn't quite sure. Wanted the only affiliated, and didn't quite get the affiliated offer. But hopefully, Luke is totally ready for this. I think he goes there, does well. And if he does well, I think we may see Luke Short pitching for an affiliated club. And he might go right from that league straight into Double-A and be knocking on the door to the big leagues. He's somebody that I know has the talent, has the ability, maybe a click or two up more on his velo, and you're looking at somebody that could pitch at the highest level.
Yeah, big game pitcher, pitched some huge innings for us, Tyler.
And you want to look at from the time he stepped into this league. While he was on that mound, there were a few pitchers in the league probably more consistent than he was. He is partially responsible for that huge run we made at the end of 2024 under Aaron's watch in August and September. And then, we were missing Shorty in the middle of the year. He was out for, I think, a month even.
Yes.
And there were some questions about our rotation during that time. How we are 50 games above 500 when it's all said and done is still beyond me, having Short out for a month. But I think that was just goes to show the quality of the talent for the entire team. For Luke, he's going to have to use his breaking ball as well. He has pitched in Texas. He knows Texas, and he was one of the best. In fact, I want to say he led all of the NCAA in strikeouts at St. Edwards in 2023 when he was there. So he knows how to pitch in Texas, and that's not going to be an issue for him.
Yeah, and as Dr. DeViz points out here, Luke Short joining Druick and Almanza. We had a lot of players on this team last year that reached the pinnacle of the Pioneer League, and it seems very apparent that people are looking at the American Association and seeing it as a direct step up on their path. And again, if you're new to Ballers Baseball, if you're new to the Pioneer League, this is what it's all about. This is by design. Our mission is to bring in these players and get them to different levels. So what is it about the American Association right now, Aaron, that has been such a desired path for a lot of the guys that were on our squad last year?
Well, there are two leagues that are independent leagues that are considered, closer to the big leagues. The American Association and the Atlantic League are both considered to be semi-double-A caliber. When you're in the American Association or the Atlantic League, you are going to face some ex-big leaguers. You're going to face a lot of guys that have played Double-A and Triple-A baseball. So just by roster construction, looking at it, player for player, that's a high caliber league. And so again, you may be facing a guy that's had 2 years in the big leagues, and you end your day with a win, and you punched out 9 guys, and you punched out 7 of them had played Double-A or higher. So look, the fact that we're sending guys to those levels is exactly what these players want to do. They want to get one step closer to the big leagues, and indie ball is a true step now in the path for a lot of guys, and so they're doing what they set out to do.
And I'm going to do what we call a reset. Casey Pratt here on Bees Cast Live, presented by Fieldwork, joined by Assistant GM Tyler Petersen, Ballers Manager Aaron Miles. We're here to announce a trade. We have acquired Aiden Rissy. He is a player that is a USF Don, so he's coming back to the Bay Area. And we have re-signed Dylan Matsuoka. Tyler, when I said that there was a player leaving that I wanted to talk about, you said there's one more. So why don't you drop with us the other one that you would like to discuss right now?
Actually, there's two more.
Two? Come on, Tyler.
I did a little
You're
audit.
killing me.
I did a little audit of our episodes, and there's actually someone we did leave out before.
Let's hit it.
About a month ago, Dylan Del Vecchio signed in the Frontier League. He's joined the Lake Erie Crushers. So if you want to look at the rotation, that's two guys we're talking about today leaving that rotation. Potentially two guys also joining it. But the other one, which I know folks will get upset about, is the newest member of the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks. Not Connor Richardson like we talked about last week, but Lou Helmick. He's going back to Fargo, where he was in spring training last year. That's where we heard about Lou. And we heard that he was probably not going to make that team. And so we sort of waited to see what would play out. He got released from Fargo, and then we acquired him right after that. So Lou is going back to the American Association, where I think he should have a lot better chance for success this year.
Lou, an absolute fan favorite for many, a great guy, an international traveler, speaks many languages, genetically one of the most talented people probably on planet Earth. Aaron, Lou Helmick leaving the Ballers and heading to the AA as well. I know that you have some fond memories of Lou, including running out onto the field a few times and possibly injuring yourself in certain situations. You don't have to get into that, but how much did Lou leave a mark on this Ballers squad last year?
A big mark, and he's somebody that challenged me every day as a coach, because he asked the most questions by any player by far. Was a sponge, wanted to get better. Sometimes you're like, hey, did that stick in you? Did you remember what we said, we talked about? But like you said, he's one of the best prospects in the league last year. That's why we got him from the American Association, is because he's thought of as a guy who can go the distance in this game. And I think, Lou benefited from the at-bats and the year of playing under us and playing winning baseball. He's been traveled over everywhere, and sometimes you're playing and you're so concerned about your skills that you don't know what it's like to play winning baseball. And, not that he hasn't, ever done that, but obviously you did it when you came to the Ballers this year, and you helped us go 73-23, and you put the ball in play when you needed to. And I think Lou is a better baseball player today than he was when he came to us. And I think he's going to stick in that league, and I think he's going to end up doing well. And hopefully it's just another step with him going to where he wants to go and get back into affiliated baseball. So, again, a fan favorite, a favorite of mine, favorite of my daughters. I think everybody loved Lou, and a great talent, a great kid, and we're going to be watching what he does in his career. So hopefully, for his sake, he makes that team, which I know he will. They wouldn't have got him back if they didn't think he would, and so good for him.
Yeah, Lou, a guy that not only could we do a whole episode on, we could probably do a whole documentary on Lou. Obviously a guy that came in here, made a big mark, and I think we're all better for having known Lou Helmick, a really good guy. Tyler, your thoughts?
It was his first time in, I think, 3 years that I got to regularly practice the German I learned in college. So that was certainly nice. I kind of have two thoughts on everything we covered today. First off, Casey, I know last time we did this, we had said that we had 3 signings to announce, and then there might have been some more to announce. We've actually announced all the players we've signed, so we have 16 total players on our 2026 roster, which is, I would say, probably, Aaron, almost exactly halfway to where we want to be.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're feeling pretty good about how this offseason is going. And then the other thing, I just was doing a quick scrub. So Aiden Rissy is the 4th player that we've acquired via trade from a Frontier League team. Could you name the 3 others?
Could I name the 3 others?
Acquired via trade from the Frontier League.
Okay, so
I will say,
only
first of all,
one played, or well,
they all played as ballers. I will have this list just to say they worked out for us. Every time we've acquired someone from the Frontier League, it's worked out.
okay. So Daniel Harris.
Yep.
This is a trade where they did end up playing for us.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
Daniel Harris. We've made some trades where they didn't actually end up playing.
Yes, that also happened.
Yeah. Frontier League team. I can only think of Harris right now.
Because that was a trade that you did, so I know that one's at the top of your mind.
Yes.
The other 2 would be Connor Richardson, whom we acquired from Jared Lemieux in Lake
Okay.
Erie, and Austin Davis, who we acquired from Bobby Brown in Ottawa. So those are 3 players we acquired from the Frontier League that went on to have some pretty good careers in Oakland.
That's right.
So we're looking for Rissy to join those.
Absolutely.
It's a good way to end, I think. Good way to end. And I like this tease here from Joe Horton promoting Dispatches from Ramondi. We have a great interview with Shannara Brown coming next week on Dispatches. I cannot wait. And if you haven't yet, go read the epic think piece on the American treasure himself, Tyler Petersen, currently on Dispatches from Ramondi
I can't wait.
right now.
Yeah.
It's currently on there right now, and it is fantastic. We'll wrap it here. Beescast Live presented by Fieldwork, announcing the trade of Aiden Rissy, the acquisition, I should say, the signing of Ryan Resas. I'm trying to get my Rissies and Resasses straight. And the signing of Dylan Matsuoka, in addition to some other departures, the comings and goings of the Oakland Ballers. We wanted you to have content during the winter meetings. We wanted you to have something to keep you entertained through the holiday season, and that's what we do here at Beescast. That's what we do with the Oakland Ballers. We keep you entertained, right, guys?
Yes.
It's a nice way to put it. All right, let's wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment. The more you comment, the more we can put you up on the screen and answer your questions. We really appreciate your participation, and thank you for joining us.